All right, welcome back. I am going to do a quick tutorial using the import export wizard that uses the SSIS engine. So this is what I call the baby version of ETL. There's no transformation happening here. This is just extracting data and loading it. There's no transformation at all. So we're going to use the wizard that is in SQL Server Management Studio to do that. I'm going to do a quick tutorial to show how to export data from SQL Server into Excel and Excel spreadsheet, and then also how to import data from a spreadsheet into a database. You ready? All right, let's do it. So to export data from any database table, what you're going to do is you're going to right click on the database that you want to export the data from, and then go to tasks, and then go to export data. Now, and it doesn't matter whether you click on export or import data, they all open up the same import and export wizard. So I'm going to click on next here, and we are then going to choose our data source, and then our destination database or destination. So anytime you're doing any kind of ETL, remember if you watch my previous videos, I talked about ETL being copying or moving data from source to destination. So this is an example of it. We're going to be moving data from a source into a destination. So we have to designate or identify what the source is, and then identify where and what the destination should be. So right here, these are all the sources, the different source connections that we can choose from. Now remember, this is a very quick, rudimentary way of doing data extracting and loading. So there's no transformation. Right now, we're going to go and use one of these connections. We're going to use the OLEDB provider. OLEDB means online linking and embedding, and then DB means database. So I'm going to click on that. That is my source, and it then shows, it should show your server name. Mine is showing here. And then I'm going to use the embedded authentication. Here is where you need to choose the database that you're going to export the data from. So I have a few here, I have a couple here that are user databases. The rest are system-based databases, so we don't touch these. So I'm going to pick these. Now, and if you had more, obviously they will show here, but we just have these two. All right, so here we have AdventureWorks 2022. I'm going to go next, and it's going to ask for a destination. Where do we want to copy that data to? So right here, we're going to choose an Excel spreadsheet that we want to export to Excel. There's so many, as you can see, there's so many other destinations that we could choose, but for this tutorial, this example, we're using Microsoft Excel. Now, we are going to then choose where this goes to. We're going to choose the path for where it should dump that Excel whenever it's done. So I'm going to click on Browse, and we're going to put it in Documents here. So I'm going to just give it a name. We're going to name it Export File 22 and click OK. And now it then asks us the version. I will keep this 97 and 2003. So I'm going to choose this and go next. And then we have the option for where it's asking, do we want to copy data from one or more tables, or do we want to write our own query to pick up the data that we want to transfer? So for example, if you're pretty sure that you want all of the data from the table that you are wanting to copy data from, then you just use this, which means copy all of the data from the table that you choose. But if you just want a subset of the data, if you want to be able to write your own query to pick up exactly what you want to pick up from the table, then you will use this to write your own query. and we don't want to write our own query. This is a quick way to do what we want to do. So we just want to copy the data. So we're going to do next, and then it's going to list out all the tables and the views in that database. And we are then to choose what database, what table we want to export. So I'm just going to go mini, mo, and maybe pick product vendor. And then we can preview the data to see what it looks like. And then we can also look at the data type of each of the columns, just to pay attention to it, and then click on OK, and then go next. It will ask whether we want to save this, because remember I told you that it uses the SSIS engine to run import and export wizard. So it's asking whether we want to save it as a package, and no. So we just want to run it immediately. We do not want to save it. We don't want to add any passwords or anything like that. So I'm going to go next to take a look at what it's going to do and how it's going to do it, and then click on finish. Finish now tells us here how many rows of data was copied, and it tells us the status of every stage of the data copying. And so we have it. So when we see all these greens, we know, oh, everything worked well. So we close it, and then we go and we take a look at the Excel spreadsheet to make sure that it did come through. So let's go ahead and open up the Excel spreadsheet. So this is it. We had the export file 22, and this is it right here. It's opening up, and this is it. We have the data, the 460 rows of data that we just exported. So that's the export. Now, if we want to import that data back, assuming someone hands you an Excel spreadsheet or a flat file. Now we're going to use an Excel spreadsheet here, but the process is similar if it's a flat file. You need to do a few more things to it, but the process is the same. So assuming you have an Excel spreadsheet, another one, or still the one that we just exported data into, and you need to import that data back. So this is what I do sometimes when I have just raw data in Excel. I will put it in a database and use a database to do my manipulations and everything that I want to do on the data. I will then do it on the database. All right, what we're trying to do now is to do the import. I'm going to right click on AdventureWorks 2022. I'm going to go back to tasks, and I'm going to click on import. So import will also open up this wizard. I'm keeping it open so you know. So here it's going to ask us what the data source is. And because we know that the data source is Microsoft Excel, I'm going to click on Microsoft Excel. It's going to ask, where is that data source? It's right here. It is that export that we just put in there. And we're going to go next. It's going to ask, what's your destination? We're going to then choose, hey, we want to put this in SQL Server. And then we have the option to also choose the database that we want to put it in. And now, if you want to create a new database to put it in, there's an option for it here where you can put the name of the database and put the initial information that you want to put, and it will create the database for you and put the data in there. But we're not interested in creating a database just for this. But if you did need to, this is an option for doing that. So I'm going to go next, and it's asked the same thing, right? Do we want to copy the data, or do we want to specify what we want to copy? And I'm going to select this one. And here is where it tells us what the source is. It also tells us what the destination is. We can see on this side, on the left side, it's telling us the source is a file in a drive and the destination is a server. So I'm going to pick this too. Excel has this thing where even if you have one sheet, it shows it as two, but it's the same thing. So I am going to pick the first one. And then because we just exported data from this product vendor, we do not want to put it back in there, but we do have an option to make changes. So you can click on it and select something else. You can click on it and then give it another name, testing, or another name, just so you know it's different from the original. What I typically do when I'm just importing data and I still need to work on that data before I put it where it really needs to go is I will create a test table and put it in there. So here it is. It shows us the source. It shows us the destination. I can edit the mappings and change the data types to if we had copied or made a mental note of all the data types for each of the columns. This is now the option where a place where we can make all those changes, but we didn't. Again, this is a quick way of just loading data from an external source. So we're gonna just keep things as is and click on OK and then go next. It tells us, it gives us a little bit of issue here, telling us it has a conversion issue here. Use global. It tells us because it's coming from float, the original one, the source is double, and we're changing it to in the destination as integer. So it's telling us it might error out. It's just warning, letting us know that something may go wrong, but we'll leave it at that. This here is also an option. It's letting us know and we can change it. It's here, it says if there's an error and that error is global, it's gonna fail. This import is gonna fail. On truncation, it's gonna fail. So if we want to, we can change it. We can say, ignore this error, ignore that error. All right, so let's go ahead and run this. You know what, right here, it run successfully. It put the data 460 rows into the table, into the test product vendor table. We are good to go. Let's go ahead and go to AdventureWorks database, and I'm going to just refresh this and check to see if that table is there. Yes, it is. We have a testing product vendor table, and we have the columns are here, and we can right click and select top 1000 to see the data that we just loaded into the database. Yeah. Awesome. So this is it. So this is just a quick video to introduce you to import and export and extraction or extracting and loading data. Remember, there was no transformation. We didn't really do any real transformation. We could have changed a few data types. That could have been a transformation, but it's not a real transformation that you would usually do when we're doing ETL. All right, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching.
If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And as always, if you have any questions or need more info, drop a comment below.